Our show today is about Santa Claus crime. Hey, let me ask you a question. Does crime increase during the holidays? Well, you bet it does. But we're going to tell you why it increases during the holidays. We're also going to show you how you can keep safe, you and your family safe from holiday crime. We'll also bring you an update on the mystery of the little boy in the box. This and so much more right here on today's Charlie Crime Buster, what we like to call the fastest 30 minutes in crime talk. Well, hello and welcome to Charlie Crime Buster. This is Charlie Crime Buster here, and I want to say welcome especially to new listeners. We pick up new listeners every week, and we sure do appreciate you listening. Hey, by the way, if you haven't had a chance yet, do me a favor, drop by charliecrimebuster.com. Take a look at the website. While you're there, there'll be a way that you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and all those other social platforms. Get the word out because we're here trying to help people stay more safe in these difficult times. By the way, holiday crime. You know, it is time for the holidays, isn't it? You know, we talk about the time to be jolly. It is the season to be jolly, and unfortunately, it's the season to be robbed. Yep, it's that time of the year again. Time for holiday cheer and carols and gifts and crime. That's right. And just as we can expect to hear all kinds of Christmas songs on the radio, you can also expect to hear about a tick up of crime happening all along. Dr. Janet Lorison, she's a professor of criminology and criminal justice at the University of Missouri in St. Louis. Well, she told Vice on Oxygen, she said that two types of crimes go up around the holidays. Those two types? It's robbery and personal larceny. And according to a Washington Post article, retail crime increases by 30%. And all these experts, they tell us that basically it comes down to three things, three reasons why crime picks up during the holidays. One is simply this: we have more idle time. It's holiday. We take time off. Just like there's more crime on Friday and Saturday and, the weekends and nighttime, because people are off during those times. The same thing occurs during holidays. People have more idle time, and with more idle time, unfortunately, comes crime. There's other reasons involved in it. We have all kinds of emotional baggage we bring with us to the holidays. And we also bring along with that emotional baggage, we find ourselves sometimes in high conflict situations. You're around family more, and so domestic violence sometimes goes up during those times. And there's a third reason why crime increases during the holidays. It's simply this: there are more people going about. People are going shopping, they're going to the malls, they're going to pick up Christmas gifts, they're going to see families, there's more cars on the road, there's more people going to the subway, there's more people moving, and therefore there's more opportunities for more victims. So there you have it on Charlie Crime Buster. Three reasons why crime increases during the holidays. Number one, there's more idle time. And when there's more idle time, there's more crime. Number two, there's emotional time, and there's time spent with family, sometimes in high conflict situations, and domestic violence goes up. And number three, the opportunity. More victims out there, more victims for people to take advantage of, more victims for people to carjack, for people to rob. Those are three reasons why crime goes up during the holidays. A few weeks ago, we gave the podcast The Mystery of the Little Boy in the Box. It's about a little boy, Noellen. A little boy who was with his family up in Buffalo, New York, left all the way from Central Florida here to go to Buffalo, New York. And then one day, one lady walks out one early morning and sees a box on her porch, and inside that box is a little boy. And the little boy comes out and he keeps saying, "The car's on fire, the car's on fire." Well, we've now been told that those bodies that were found in the car, they have been positively identified as Noellen's parents. That's right, they were his parents. But there was still a third part of the mystery. There was another gentleman by the name of Ramon. Ramon, who was a friend of the family, who went up there with them to Buffalo, New York. And what happened to him? That's still the mystery. And now we have been told, with an update, that federal agents have now found human remains miles away from that crime scene with the van, miles away in a fire pit on Box Avenue. You see, that was 9 weeks ago, and they're still doing tests to determine whether they are or not Ramon's body. But most people are pretty positive that it is the third person. And remember those suspects that were seen leaving the scene? One had a gas can in their hand. The other one was taking that little boy in hand and taking him away from that horrible scene. Well, those suspects, according to resources, they tell us have already been arrested, and they're already charged on other crimes while they're investigating them for the crime of murder. And the good news, if there's any good news, it's simply this. The good news is this. That little boy that was found in the box, little Noellen, well, the good news is this. He's safe. He's safe and in the hands of his grandparents here in Central Florida. So we'll keep you posted from time to time on what happens with the mystery of the little boy found in a box. We're also going to bring you some information about Santa Claus. Now, we talk about Santa Claus asking people, have you been naughty or nice? But what about some Santa Claus that have been not nice, but naughty? Well, here comes Santa Claus, but I'm afraid these Santa Claus are not so nice. They're what we call naughty Santa Claus. And we're going to tell you about them. First of all, do we have the real flying Santa? That's right. I thought it'd be interesting to see what kind of naughty things these Santas have been up to. And this is a real flying one. You see, Santa, it appears that he straight up stole a helicopter back in 2015. That was presumably after ditching his sleigh somewhere in Brazil. And he went ahead, rented a helicopter, but one thing about this Santa, even though he rented the helicopter, he did not return it. This is according to Reuters News. You see, the thief, the Santa, he rented an aircraft late Friday from an air taxi service. And the goes on to say that during the flight, that Santa forced the pilot to fly to a small farm outside of Sao Paulo City, where they were met by a third person. That's what they tell us up there. And then the pilot, he was tied up, and the two perpetrators, including Santa in a Santa suit, flew away. So there was a real flying Santa. He wasn't flying his sleigh, but he was flying a stolen helicopter. And then we have a story about the fried chicken Santa. That's right, the fried chicken Santa. Folks, you just can't make this up. We wonder, was he looking for chicken, or was he looking for ill-gotten gains? No one really knows about this Santa. He was described as 5 foot 10 inches tall and stocky. He climbed through the window, now get this, the window of a drive-through at the Kentucky Fried Chicken, and he asked the staff to fork over the money. And by the time police arrived, the Santa bandit as well, he left as well as a undetermined amount of cash from the register was missing. You see, that Santa was a bad Santa, a naughty Santa. And you know, I found in looking up these stories about Santa Claus, unfortunately, it's been a part of history for some time now, even back in 1927. And this is a piece of Texas history. It was called the Santa Claus Bank Robbery. It kicked off the largest manhunt at that time the state had ever seen, after a group of ex-cons held up the First National Bank in Cisco. Now, it's important to realize that at the time, you see, Texas had a rash of bank robberies every day. So the Texas Bankers Association, they all got together, and they were offering a $5,000 reward to anyone who shot a bank robber. It was with this reward in mind that many took up arms to stop the Cisco robbery after the alarm was first sounded. Well, the 4 bandits, one dressed as Santa, they was quickly surrounded by cops while inside the bank. They managed to storm out, though, using hostages as cover, and they made their escape. But unfortunately for them, their getaway car, it was running low on gas. So they ditched their car and they tried to get a new one. And they did, but that one wouldn't start. And so then they took the hostages from the second car, returned to the first car, leaving behind the money and one of the injured from all the shooting robberies. Well, all told, they had stolen $12,400 in cash, $150,000 in non-negotiable securities. Estimates were made that there was at least 200 bullet holes in the bank, a number which many thought was too low. Beside the 2 police officers, there had also been 6 townspeople wounded in the shootout, but no one was sure whether the robbers or the mobs was responsible. So after days-long pursuit, the robbers were either killed or caught and soon faced trial. One of the surviving robbers was eventually lynched by some of the upset townspeople, who they themselves were never charged. So you see, my friend, it appears that crime doesn't pay. Even for Santa, crime doesn't pay. Well, our first naughty Santa, he was in a helicopter. Here's another one that was flying high, but in a different way, if you get my drift. Because early in 2015, in the town of Monterey, California, they arrested a Santa Claus, a Saint Nick, who was dreaming of a different color Christmas, if you can pick up what I'm putting down. Randy Lange was arrested, now get this, for giving people free marijuana while in a Santa suit at a Buffalo Wild Wings. Here's the way it went down. Just after 4 p.m., customers, they called police to say that Lange was wrapping marijuana in napkins and handing it out to people inside the business. He was also suspected of giving one employee a napkin with a brim-full amount of pot. He also left a hefty tip when he stuffed a large amount of the illegal drug at that time inside the bar's tip jar. During the incident, Lange would approach customers to tell them he was Santa and that he had a gift for them. Now, Lange had over 2 pounds of marijuana on his person when he was arrested. Maybe this is just why Santa can't smoke a pipe anymore. Here's what they said about another one. This happened. This was right out of Santa.com or Santacon. It was one of the weirdest instances of Santa Claus crime, and it occurred in a mall in Dayton, Ohio, during the 2010 Santacon festivities. You see, 2 women there were arrested, according to police, for being intoxicated and singing off-color songs. Now, according to Ohio's News 10, it was even worse than it sounds, with hundreds of Santas making a scene. It was right there in the middle of the mall. The kids were scared to death. They were arresting Santa Claus. That's what we live for. It's the Christmas spirit, said Chris, who quickly recorded an arrest of a woman dressed in a Santa suit on his cell phone. He says cops were everywhere. Santas were running everywhere with their hats. It was, one of the most craziest things I've ever seen in my life. So just remember, the next time Santa asks you if you've been naughty or nice, you may want him to answer the question first. Well, the purpose of this podcast is to help you stay safe in the holidays with holiday tips. And we're going to give you, in just a moment, some shopping tips. Some shopping tips from one of the best police departments in the country. Hey, I hope we didn't freak you out with all those Santa crimes and those naughty Santas, because there's still some very nice Santas out there as well, so keep that in mind as you go. But we would like for you to be safe while you're out there, and we know a lot of you are going to be out there moving around. So here's some holiday tips that comes from the LAPD Crime Prevention Section, and I think there's some pretty good ones. Here's what they say about driving. Number 1, avoid driving alone or at night, if you possibly can. Keep all the car doors locked, windows closed while you're in and out of your car, by the way. Don't just leave your windows down when you leave. Set your alarm or use an anti-theft device. And if you must shop at night, make sure you park in a well-lighted area. They also tell us to avoid parking next to vans or trucks with camper shells or cars with tinted windows. You never know what lurks in those vans and those tinted windows behind them. It says to us to park as close as you can to your destination and take notice. Remember where you parked. Never leave your car unoccupied with a motor running or with children inside. That's a big no-no. And do not leave packages or valuables on the seat of your car. You see, this creates a temptation for thieves. If you must leave something in the car, well, you know what you really ought to do with it, right? You lock it in your trunk. You put it out of sight. They also tell us be sure to locate your keys now prior to going to your car. You see, if you walk swiftly to your car and like you have purpose, you're less likely to be a victim. They remind us to keep a secure hold on your purse or your handbag or your parcels. Do not put them down, and don't put them on top of the car in order to open the door. And this is the real time to be aware. When you're approaching or leaving your vehicle, make sure you're aware of your surroundings. And don't approach the car alone if there's some suspicious people in the area, because you can always go back and you can always ask the mall or store security for an escort before leaving your shopping location. Those are some really good tips from the LAPD. And, every year when you go to the malls, you can usually see the shoppers there. And you can find some of us that are just along for the ride, right? They're mostly males, and you usually see them sitting on benches and chairs that's designed to rest the weary feet of shoppers. And speaking of malls, well, I heard a neat story just this week that I just have to share with you. It seems that there was a lady that was standing near the wishing well, staring down into it, when her husband walked over. And he peered over the wishing well, and as he peered over, he lost his balance and he fell down into the well. Then the wife, she could be heard muttering, "By George, it does work, doesn't it? It does." Well, if you have a wishing well, or you not, you may be one of those who just doesn't prefer to shop at the mall. You don't prefer to go out shopping, and you do your sales online. Well, we've also got some tips for you, some cyber tips to keep you safe while you're shopping online. Now, as you may know, Cyber Monday really took place on December the 2nd, and the total sales during a couple of these cyber things was around $39 billion back in 2018. And, that's really more than the annual GDP of many countries. So this year, it's set even to see bigger spending levels. And to keep the emphasis on fun and great bargains, we have some recommendations. Zurich actually has 10 key recommendations for staying safe and secure online. Number 1, update your home antivirus and operating systems. Keep them updated to ensure that your personal data remains protected. Consider running regular scans on a weekly or even a monthly basis. A second wonderful hint is to go to familiar websites rather than searching for stores through a search engine. And be wary of those sites using a different top-level domain, for example, .net instead of .com. Double-check the name of the web and the address. They also tell us to use websites that are recognized by Trust or VeriSign or the Better Business Bureau Online, to avoid buying items from mass emails and or pop-up windows. You see, a lot of those can look very authentic, and they're not authentic at all. Also look for the Verified by Visa or the MasterCard Secure Code Guarantees, which makes online payments more secure. There's another little suggestion they suggest is that you always check the web address and make sure it starts with that little HTTPS that has quotation marks at the front and the end. That's that HTTPS. And that it also contains the padlock symbol to indicate that you're sharing your information on a secure site. Always remember to log out of websites after you place the order, and keep a copy of that confirmation email for your records. Return safely to the site. Make sure you have different passwords for different logins and websites. And this is a big one here, folks. Do not give out personal information, such as your birthday date, your national ID. No online shopping store needs that information. And here's another great tip. Always check regularly your monthly electronic statements. And if you notice something wrong, call your provider quickly. Resolve that discrepancy. Hey, folks, also they tell us, just avoid using your debit card and banking accounts. Stick with the credit cards, because most credit card companies, they have purchase protection. Plus, it won't drain your bank account if you get around someone who's a naughty Santa. And then, last but not least, do not use public computers to make purchases. And remember to log out, even if you're just checking your email. And if you're using your personal computer in a public area, well, make sure that nobody else can see your screen with your personal information. And try to use those VPNs, those virtual private networks, when you make purchases. Those are from Paige Adams, the Global Chief Information Security Officer for Zurich Insurance, and it's some pretty doggone good stuff for us. Well, there you have it, Patsy Cline singing Crazy again, and you know what that means. It's time for our Crazy Crook Story. We always try to share a crazy crook story to kind of keep us laughing in these solemn times that we talk about crime. There's some really good things here to keep in mind here. I love what the police department in Missouri is doing. Talk about crazy crooks. They're probably going to catch some crazy crooks because there's a police department in Missouri. It's getting a lot of attention for a social media post in which it invited gullible purchasers of illegal narcotics. Well, they invited them to bring their drugs into the station so they can be properly weighed, therefore supposedly not falling a victim to a scam in which tricky drug dealers would sell them short on the drug buy. That's what the Winfield, Missouri Police Department said on Facebook. Said it's been made aware of a new scam that we wish to share with everyone, and the post continued. Some untrustworthy drug dealers are using their cell phone instead of a certified scale to display the weight of the merchandise that they are selling. You see, by placing the drugs on their cell phone, they can type in whatever weight they want, claiming that it was the weight agreed upon during your transaction. Well, the post then, they said they went on to invite these gullible purchasers of illegal narcotics just to bring the drugs to the station so that they can be properly weighed instead of falling a victim to a scam in which tricky drug dealers would sell them short on the drug buy. Well, since the post has run, it's received nearly 2,000 likes. It's been shared more than 1,000 times. At this point, it's unclear whether it led to any arrests or not, but my bet is on somebody somewhere. There's some dumb crook out there that just might take them up on that. So, hey, hats off to those cops, those police officers way there in Missouri in coming up with this creative way to catch dumb crooks. Hey, speaking of dumb crooks, well, one wannabe theft. He obviously had watched a little too much TV, you see, when the 29-year-old tried to break into his neighbor's apartment by using a bank card. I guess he saw that on TV several times. Well, when he tried to break into his neighbor's apartment by using a bank card, well, he woke up the owner, and in the thief's haste to get away, well, the card snapped in half, leaving behind his name and account details. You see, the victim called up. He read the cops the details off the card. That's what police said. And when we got to the burglar's house, well, the other half of the bank card, it was on his kitchen table. Well, you might think that if you're going to try to break into a house, you might ought to use real burglar tools instead of watching what you saw work on fake TV. Or better yet, just get a job and earn your stuff like the rest of us do. Well, from Memphis, Tennessee, this is a sad one. And you talk about crazy. I used to take collection of these things, but there have been so many of them, I haven't even bothered to collect them. But people can do things over the silliest things happening to them. They can lose all rationale at all. And this one happened in Tennessee. There was a Tennessee woman, allegedly, who pulled a gun at McDonald's restaurant, apparently after a mix-up on condiments. That's what police said. 3 employees told authorities that they were working at the fast food restaurant on November the 25th when Miss Vester, 20 years of age, she submitted an order to the drive-through line. She received her food, but then she became upset when she was given ketchup instead of jelly. That's what CBS affiliate WREG reported. Words were reportedly exchanged, and that's when Vester allegedly pulled out a gun and pointed it at the employees, and then drove away. That was according to the arrest report. Police were able to obtain a video of the incident. They developed Vester as a person of interest in the case, and Vester was arrested. She was arrested on Tuesday, charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault. She was also charged with unlawful possession of a weapon because she was under 21 and was not able to legally own a gun. This is why I say, folks, while I totally believe in everybody's right to carry a gun, it is not right for everyone to do so. Even though everybody has the right, it's not right for everyone to do so. You see, in order to carry a weapon, you need to be a responsible gun-carrying citizen. And this lady was not responsible at all, and in my opinion has no business with a weapon, and she was not even legally carrying hers. Well, thank God she's just one of a few, and not the most of responsible gun-carrying citizens. There's millions out there, millions who carry weapons, and they're very responsible people. And we're now going to take the time to recognize what we call our Citizen Hero of the Week, the Citizen Hero of the Week. And, you've heard this saying that the only thing that will stop a bad man with a gun is a good man with a gun. Well, how about this one? Try this one for time. A bread man with a gun stops a bad man with a gun. That's right. A man was trying to rob a Georgia Hardee's when he was shot and wounded in an exchange of gunfire with a hero bread delivery man who sprung into action when he saw the robbery taking place. That's according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. They cited police as saying that the suspect, Mr. Parrish, was wounded after a short gun battle with Joseph Chilton, who interrupted the robbery as he was delivering bread to the Hardee's in Ellenwood on Saturday morning. The Clayton County Sheriff's Office said in a news release that Chilton noticed something was wrong when he observed employees running out of the back door and he heard a woman screaming for help. A moment earlier, Parrish had jumped the counter, pointed the gun at a female employee, and demanded cash. That's what the news release said. Well, Chilton, he ran back to his truck to get a firearm, and he ran back to help the female in distress. That's according to the news release. Chilton ended up shooting Parrish twice, but Parrish, even though shot, managed to flee the scene. And Saturday afternoon, investigators traced Parrish to a home. That's what Fox 5 Atlanta reported. And a SWAT team was called. When Parrish refused to come out, deputies were told there were children in the house. But then Parrish surrendered before the SWAT team arrived. And deputies are now watching Parrish at a local hospital, where he's being treated for gunshot wounds, so that he will be healthy enough to face the wall at the end of Georgia's toughest paramilitary jail, the Hilton. That's what the news release said. And the news release also said that Sheriff Victor Hill was so impressed with Chilton, the bread man, the delivery man there at Hardee's, who came to the rescue, that Sheriff Victor Hill was so impressed with Chilton for defending those who could not defend themselves. Well, the sheriff down there, he made him an honorary deputy, and he inducted him into the Sheriff's Posse Hall of Fame. And my friend, I'm here to tell you, he also joins Charlie Crimebuster's Citizen of the Week. We're a bread man with a gun stopped a bad man with a gun. All right, we're about to run out of time, but let me give you a few more shopping tips real quickly. When you're shopping, try to shop during daylight hours whenever possible, and if you must shop at night, try to go with a friend or a family member. Dress casually, comfortably. Avoid wearing expensive jewelry. And if possible, don't carry a purse or a wallet. You see, you are a key for pickpockets. Always carry your driver's license, your ID card, along with necessary cash, checks, and the credit card you expect to use. You don't have to take every credit card you have. And even though you're rushed and thinking about 1,000 things, always remember, stay alert to your surroundings. Avoid carrying large amounts of cash. That can go very quickly if you're robbed, my friend. And then keep a record of all your credit card numbers in a safe place at home, just in case you have to report it. And avoid overloading yourself with packages. It's important to have clear visibility and a freedom of motion to avoid mishaps. And here's the last one. Be aware. Be aware of strangers approaching you for any reason. You see, at this time of the year, con artists, they may try various methods of distracting you with the intention of taking your money or your belongings. Well, this is Charlie Crimebuster, and you have been a part of the fastest 30 minutes of crime talk. Can't wait to talk to you next week again when Charlie Crimebuster will be here to give you more tips to keep you and your family safe. Until this time next time, Charlie Crimebuster reminding you, be safe, be vigilant, be aware of your surroundings, because the life you save, it just might be your very own.